But what if it
happens?
happens?
The man wrestles bears.
What? See, you think we both pick Ferguson?
I'm going for Ferguson.
We both pick
I'm going for Ferguson on this one. He can only wrestle for so long with Khabib. I'll say that.
It's always my time.
Okay. Welcome everybody to the Ring Generals podcast. My name is Nick Nenad. Alongside me is Eazy-E Eric Santos.
What's cooking, guys?
And of course, the RKJ Man.
Let's talk that talk, y'all. Hypocritical Nick. What the hell are you doing with this hat on?
Well, you know what? I normally don't wear cowboy hats. Obviously, you guys know this, but I decided to wear one for this podcast simply
it's my hat.
Because it is his hat. That's a good point. Simply because Cowboy Cerrone is fighting this weekend, and we wanted to pay tribute and respect to what is going to be an awesome UFC fight, and we will talk about that fight.
Yeah. Really?
A little bit later.
You gonna pay tribute to a knockout?
No. Okay, so maybe we have somebody who thinks otherwise.
Yes.
So we're gonna get to that.
We're gonna get to that later, though. We're gonna get to that later, if at all on this specific podcast you're listening to right now. But we are going to start the podcast with some kind of news that came out in pro wrestling. AEW has signed a multi-year extension, kind of to the surprise of most wrestling fans this early on, with TNT. And there's rumors that there's going to be a second show, kind of like a SmackDown or Thunder style here. So that's kind of crazy. And then, of course, we have the Tessa Blanchard news where there was a lot of controversy before her main event. And then, of course, she won the Impact World Men's Championship, which is another topic of controversy in the wrestling world. But let's get back to AEW, All Elite Wrestling. You know, a year ago, guys, AEW was created. And it was this thing where a lot of people didn't know what was going to happen. Are they going to compete against WWE? All this stuff. And now, just a bit of a year later, they're now signing a multi-year extension into the 2020s to stay on TNT. What are your guys' initial thoughts of this?
You go, RKJ Man.
There you go.
You've been on top of it.
Yeah. Everybody knows how big of an AEW fan I am. Everybody knows how invested I've been in AEW. I've been up there supporting AEW when I think they're doing right. I've been up there criticizing them when I think they're making a mistake, when they're making the wrong decisions. But I think this just confirms the fact that TNT has got a hit, and they want to keep that hit going for a while now, while the price is still at a reasonable situation for them.
Yeah.
I mean, they got bumped up to $45 million plus advertising and rights fees, and that's a lot of good money. And Tony Khan's already doing well, but imagine if they can get a big name superstar. Let's say, for instance, a John Cena.
You're not going to get John Cena.
Every single time you say it,
John Cena is not coming to All Elite Wrestling.
Hold on.
This is fake news.
Hold on.
Might as well go and join the debates that were on last night.
Hold on. I thought
come on.
I thought it was my platform to talk.
But you said something ridiculous.
You guys can get into it. As stupid as his hat over here. It's as stupid as his hat over here.
Oh, that's your hat.
Look at what he's talking shit. Let's talk a little bit about AEW right now.
That hat, you know?
This hat is legendary. I disagree with everything. You know what? Eric, it's your turn to talk now.
No, it's not. I haven't been on this podcast in months. Let me bring my blasphemous nonsense back to this podcast, okay? Let's say for instance, they get a John Cena or a major top superstar, in the next year or two. That's going to make AEW's rights fees go up even higher because the ratings will increase. They could get possibly moved to a bigger night, and that could just further increase the stock for AEW. So I think this is a huge opportunity for TNT to get on while it's on the ground. And it's doing fantastic. Last night, I believe, they did about 940,000 viewers. It was the number 5 show on cable. I mean, that's fantastic. That's better than what TNT was doing with their whatever they were doing on Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
So I think
Solely in Isles, maybe? I don't know. It's a random. I don't know.
TNT
show.
I only watch it for AEW and basketball. But, the fact of the matter remains is that what TNT and AEW is doing is very historic. It's very good. Now, a lot of people are frustrated with the fact that AEW Dark could possibly be that second show. And the fact that they're upset about even having a second show at all. I don't see what's so bad about it. It gives AEW more exposure. It gives you time to promote. It gives you more of an opportunity to promote Dynamite. It's another investment from TNT. And that's something that you can shop around to other networks too as well, so you can use that in a few years to promote that and use that for a more revenue stream, and it gives more opportunity for talent to showcase themselves on a secondary show. So for example, Joey Janela, a person who has rarely been shown on Dynamite, he can get an opportunity to really shine on Dark. So we have opportunities for other talent. So I think this is a great opportunity. I think this could be a really good time for AEW to step up, and they've got more money. They can go after these big name free agents. They can put themselves in a top position in order to really set themselves up for next year, where they could be a true competitor to one of the main shows, SmackDown, Raw.
It's classic RKJ Man style, saying his entire point in one sentence. So me and you are going to discuss this topic for the rest of the time, because he said everything he wanted to say.
I'd much rather say it now.
Yeah.
Well, you made it longer by the fact you interrupted me when I said Johnson.
I said let's talk about the extension, and you brought the second show in. Eric, what are your thoughts on the extension, first of all, and now I'll give you the floor, obviously, the second show.
The extension of AEW Dynamite, it's great for us wrestling fans. It gives us more time. And I think, in my mind, for a lot of people, it's going to give us more and more wrestling content. As far as Wednesday nights, we really don't got anything going on Wednesday nights, as far as we know. NXT, that's also going to give them another advantage for them to extend their deal as well.
That's a good point.
So,
that's an interesting point.
With that being said, NXT might do the same thing too. I know USA Network is going to hop on that. As far as AEW Dark goes, I think that might be their second show. I do think that AEW Dark show is going to be their secondary show. I mean, what else are they going to be doing other than just having it on YouTube? I know that NWA has been doing that. They've been doing a pretty good job of doing that for YouTube for NWA. For AEW Dark, what I would do is I would probably just keep Dark on YouTube.
Well, see, that's not the thing, though. So you're saying keep Dark on YouTube and have a second show, actually, another second show?
Yes, and have a second show.
That's 3 shows right there.
Well, yeah, but YouTube doesn't count. You can watch YouTube whenever you want.
Unless you want unless you want to show on national broadcast television.
Yeah, but see, and that's a good point. I'll extend on that, and then I'll get to the extension part of it. I don't like the fact that you're going to have watered down talent, no offense, and watered down matches on a second show. If you're going to do 2 shows, you got to do it hard for both shows, in my opinion, because then people will actually get excited and want to watch both shows, a la WWE Raw and Friday Night SmackDown. Whereas everyone actually is excited to watch those shows when it's obviously good, but they still get into 2 million in viewers, so they're still getting more than AEW right now. So I just think you need to have, if you're going to have good wrestling, you don't want to show a product that's bad wrestling on national TV. And there's a lot of shitty wrestlers in AEW right now. I'll just be honest, especially some of the women. And it's no offense to the women, but and everybody agrees. Like the women's wrestlers.
I will agree that the Nightmare Collective is not working out right now.
Yeah.
It's horrible. But I don't want to get into the night because we could talk about that heading into Revolution and all that stuff. But I just think that why showcase lesser talent and less content on another show instead of just keeping it on YouTube?
Well, a couple of things.
I kind of agree with you, and I kind of like, I don't know.
Dark hasn't had all bad matches. We saw Kenny Omega versus Joey Janela, unsanctioned lights out match.
That's main event.
On Dark, and that was a fantastic match.
That was actually really good.
And then it was so good that they put that match on Dynamite. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is you can use Dark as a way to extend storylines on Dynamite. You can also use it as more promotion for Dynamite. And let's not forget this, the fact that you have a second show, you could take that second show in a few years, it's really good, and TNT says, no, we don't want to keep that second show, they're costing us a little bit too much. You could ship it to another place, and you can make money off of that. And that's an added stream of revenue for AEW. So that's very important too. I mean, AEW Dark, it started on YouTube, and I said it originally. I said this is probably going to be something that's broadcast on YouTube that's going to get picked up later by somebody else, probably TNT, and TNT, also Warner Media, because that was their whole thing, and they've upped the production. AEW Dark has really good, solid production. So I mean, it's a situation if they can bring that, and then they say they're going to add some things and make it more TV-like. It's going to be perfect. Like, I don't mind seeing an A show like Dynamite, and then you have your B show with your main storylines on Dark, like Joey Janela, Penelope Ford, and Kate Sabian. I keep making that the top one.
Okay, I'll bring up, but they're showing on the main show though, so I don't know why you keep bringing that up. That's not a dark. That's not a dark thing.
Joey Janela's not.
No, but they're showing that on TV. It's a bad example. Just say somebody else. Next time.
Who else do you got?
I should just say QT Marshall for, I don't know. I mean, they showed his record the other day, and I was like, that guy's wrestled more than like once. I don't watch Dark because
it's been mostly tag team
life,
matches.
and I also like watch football season playoffs, so I'm not going to be watching Dark. But I lost my train of thought, so Eric, go ahead and talk real quick.
About what? What do you want to say?
I lost my train of thought. Ryan got in my head, and then I didn't know. I was.
It's the hat.
Okay. I'll say this. I'll say this though. I'm just going to kind of extend on that point that I was saying earlier. The thing about Dark. Oh no, this is what I was going to say. It was when you look at a lot of times the biggest thing about AEW, I think that we all enjoy is the crowd, right? I think that's what sets it apart from every other wrestling promotion, where the crowd is so excited to see these guys specifically wrestle. When you watch Raw and SmackDown or Impact or NWA, you're not as excited with a match just simply because the crowd's not into it. NXT's close, but it's too small of an arena to really get you pumped up. But
it's like a bar wrestling.
Here's the problem. I think if you put more into those live shows and it ends up being 3.5, 4 hours for the live audience, that second show not only is it going to be lesser in talent and wrestling, the crowd is going to be less into it because they're watching the pre-show match where half the crowd isn't there, and they're also watching the stuff after because we know it's going to be filmed more than likely all in the same night. I think that's the problem. I think the biggest thing AEW has going right now is their crowd, and I think if you mess that up, it just becomes another wrestling company. To be honest, you have stars, but if people don't care and it doesn't sound like the crowd cares, then I think that's a problem.
I think one of the biggest things you're forgetting is Dark means we have 2 matches before and then the match after. It might be concerning for the match after the show, but the fact you have 2 matches before when the crowd's just getting...
Can't have 3 matches for a 2-hour show though. If it's on TNT, you're gonna have multiple shows. You're gonna have to have
just
at least
do
4
segments.
matches.
You can just what they do on Dark right now. They have 3 matches and they have segments.
But it's
they
only
have Tony Schiavone,
You
Dasha.
have to fill in another hour, and the matches they do are only 20 minutes, so you can only have so many. Like, what do you fill? Where is this filler content? It's gonna be like
it's just
people singing and shit. Like I don't know.
It'll be recaps. It'll be stuff like that.
I hate that. I hate that.
Okay.
Stuff, though. You watch Raw, but Raw doesn't need to be 3 hours. Half of it is recaps of what happened the week before. And what's been happening on the show already.
What about this? On this day, so-and-so took a beer truck and then drove into the arena.
Like, just to me personally, I think a lot of other wrestling fans, I want to see wrestling and great segments. They are not necessarily super long if they don't
But didn't you say, we were having this conversation before the podcast, you said that wrestling fans necessarily, honestly, don't always want to watch a lot of wrestling.
That's what I'm saying, but
you know what I'm saying?
I don't want to see recaps, and I don't want to see stuff I don't care about.
Promos, anything like that. Sit down interviews, stuff like that to extend the storylines on Dark and Dynamite.
You know how boring it is when like Becky Lynch sits there and doesn't actually come out to the crowd and sits and does the interviews? Or like, that's not, I want to see him in the ring. I want to see it seem like a live show where you're not having these interviews behind the scenes. It doesn't happen during an NFL game. When you watch an NFL game or an NBA game, they don't go to a guy in the back and getting interviewed. It's all live during the game, right?
Yeah.
So I want to see it like, I want AEW to be better than WWE. And WWE has a lot of that BS. I get it because they have commercials that they need to sell and all that stuff. But I just don't want to see, I want to see less BS and I want to see more actual good content. And a second show is going to put less content.
You think it's going to water the product down?
Yeah.
One thing though that I will say about having a second show, Tony Khan, you better get some more talent up in there. Because honestly, a lot of people have been complaining about this, and I kind of agree with them. I am seeing a lot of rematches.
Let me call him up right now so we can see.
Yeah.
Call him up right now.
You call right now. So, what do you think about what I said about the content? Do you think that's a problem, or do you think that's just something
I'm gonna say this: if they're gonna add in like a third hour or something like that, and they're gonna be doing recaps and they're gonna be copying, and us fans, we're gonna say that you're copying WWE. You should be ashamed of yourself.
See,
it's not going to come
that's
from.
a good point, though.
It's not going to come from like a number of people, but it's going to come from another section of people. They're going to say that you guys are copycats. Well, don't be doing that because that's what WCW did to WWE.
Yeah, and what happened to WCW?
Yeah, the rest is history.
100%.
Yeah, but what happened to SmackDown? It's on Fox.
They get more better ratings than
It's on Fox. SmackDown's
Okay,
on
with
Fox.
that being said,
It's secondary show.
if you want to copy and you want to take influence, I get it. Copy the good, don't copy the bad. Okay, because that is something that I've been stuck with for a long time, and I should apply to in the real world. And I think AEW should do the same thing too. Probably just apply some of the good stuff, and what WWE could have worked out with the ideas they had, bring it into their show, but don't copy everything that they're doing.
Yeah, you do what the NFL did with the XFL back in the day before we had the new one starting in a couple of weeks, where they took some of the camera angles, they took some of the interview tactics, and used it. Like, you know how you have the camera that's behind the players that zooms on the field the whole time? That's an XFL.
That's an XFL.
Yeah, and then also, you know, I think silent interviews, all that stuff was an XFL. Yeah, exactly. But so I agree with you on that. I think that if they're going to start doing more WWE-like stuff, people are not going to care as much because we don't want to see the WWE stuff. It's watered down TV PG bullshit that nobody actually wants to watch.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
How bad are those weddings? Like, there's Christ.
Let's not talk about the Bobby Lashley Lana thing. It made me embarrassed to be a wrestling fan, but
they used lesbian as a storyline. You gotta love WWE in 2000. You gotta love WWE in 2020 where they're still
using
like
lesbian as a bad thing.
Come on, guys.
That's
and you got people who are gay and homosexual.
Let's look at this.
Gay and homosexual.
These are the same fans.
I'm sorry. It's a steal.
These are the fans.
You know what? Whatever.
These are the fans who want their attitude.
You know what I mean?
These are the fans. These are the same fans who still want their attitude era back, and once they bring in those kind of elements right now in 2020, boom, you get that, and then all of a sudden Twitter gets triggered, and then W gets hated.
Right, and that's been your big thing. You said that you didn't want
AEW to be like WWE.
Yeah, you said you said there was an audience that was missing.
There was 8
So if that audience comes back and they go, this is turning into WWE, I'm not watching this shit anymore. Yeah. I'm gonna go watch.
But sometimes, okay, I agree with that, and I did make that statement. But sometimes people are familiar with the familiar, if that makes any sense, which it doesn't, because the WWE's been out there for so long. They've had such a formula of how to do things, and AEW's trying to change that formula. Maybe sometimes you gotta run with the formula that's being dealt with you until you can change all the rules. Eric Bischoff did that with WCW. He didn't start off with the NWO on the first show. He ran that show for a year or two before he experimented with the NWO, and then he made his move. So that's what AEW is trying to do right now, I think. They might be trying to do things a little bit like WWE, sort of, kind of, and then in maybe a year or so, maybe with this Dark Order storyline, we're going to see something big enough where it's going to make them completely change the way it is, and it's going to change the wrestling industry.
You put a lot at stake in that Dark Order stuff. I know they obviously are hiding somebody. I think it's somebody that they're waiting to sign.
Matt Hardy,
I think could be Luke Harper as well, potentially.
That would be a disappointment.
Luke Harper, I don't know his. I apologize for not knowing his name.
Brody Lee.
Good call on that. How would they be disappointed? Luke Harper was one of the. I always enjoyed Luke Harper matches in WWE, and I never understood.
He was a good skill.
This is the equivalent. This is the equivalent to the third man in Nitro. We wanted to know who the third man is, and at the time, Eric Bischoff said, I didn't know who the third man was. I thought maybe it could be Sting. I talked to him. He was receptive in a certain way. Hogan, he didn't know who the third man was. I don't think Khan and the Young Bucks and them know who the leader is yet. They're waiting to sign somebody. It could be Brian Cage, but you got to have a name.
It's not big enough.
It's not big enough.
Brian Cage's not big enough.
You've got to have somebody to where it's like, it's to the point where it sends shockwaves through the wrestling industry.
It's not going to be John Cena.
It's not going to be John Cena. I know it's not going to be John Cena.
When is John Cena going to debut? We all know John Cena's going to be in the Royal Rumble this year.
He is going to be on the Royal
Rumble. Yeah, so when is this big jump? When he says stuff in interviews the other day, like, WWE will always be my home, I will always be involved. Why do you still believe he's going to be?
Money is an important thing.
It's like you still believe in Santa.
Don't talk to me about Santa.
What?
Don't talk to me.
Do you still believe in Santa?
Hell no, I don't talk about
good.
Santa. All right.
No, see, talk about it.
Christmas is over, guys.
My parents ended that at 5. But look.
You wouldn't know it by my...
Yeah. Look, the fact of the matter remains is this. Tony Khan's got a lot of money. He's willing to invest in this thing. I'm just saying, in the future, if John Cena in the WWE, you've heard rumors that maybe he's been upset because Brock Lesnar was making more money on a per year basis than him. John Cena leaves to go pursue this movie thing full time and maybe it doesn't work out. He's not like The Rock. And he's a free agent. Khan can come to him in a few years and be like, hey, I got this cool show. You can wrestle pretty much a Hulk Hogan type contract. Because Khan missed it on CM Punk. He missed it big time on CM Punk. CM Punk is not going to AEW. No. As much as I was hoping and praying he was. We were there in Chicago. He's with WWE.
No, he's not. No, he's not. He's with Fox. He's stated that clearly. He's with Fox. He is not with WWE, which is why he can mention AEW if he wants to.
He's talking about a WWE program, a WWE product that Vince McMahon has. And he's interacting with WWE
he's still under the rooftop of another company. It's not really WWE.
And that rooftop and that company has WWE on their show. And
yeah, but it doesn't. CM Punk doesn't give a shit, dude. He doesn't care about being involved with Fox. If AEW throws him all this money and then WWE comes up with this shit storyline or says he doesn't have creative control, he's going to AEW and he's quitting Fox. I
think what happened with CM Punk was that they gave him that offer with a lot of money for Fox, and they all said, "Oh yeah, you get to say whatever you want on Fox because WWE doesn't really need to."
Easy schedule too, you don't have to be there.
We don't need to. WWE don't need to dictate you. And he's like, "Oh fuck yeah, I'm coming in." Exactly. So yeah, why not?
No, but that's what I'm saying. Do you think just Fox has him no, man? If Fox, tries to get weird with him and tries to get him to kind of do WWE stuff, he'll just leave. And then AEW is open up. He's not going to Impact. He's not going to NWA. It's still open. But he has been kind of disrespected by the Khans a little bit, from what I've heard. Or at least Tony Khan. They said that the negotiations were kind of childish and stuff like that in the past. I don't remember exactly. We don't even need to get into that. But it wasn't like AEW made a good first impression, which is not good for us fans.
And they're a startup company, so it doesn't make sense for a superstar like a CM Punk or a John Cena to sign with AEW when they're a startup company.
But the reason we're talking about this topic is because they just signed a multi-year agreement, which means they're going to be here for at least 3-4 years, but barring horrendous ratings.
My biggest problem is, what happened with Randy Orton? What happened with that situation?
You ever thought that wrestlers like to toy with us? They like to smack around.
Randy was never. Randy still has stuff that he can do in WWE.
Y'all want to hear this funny? What can you do in WWE?
Anything he wants. He's one of the best performers on
name me a storyline that will get Randy Orton to be more relevant than he has been in the past 5 years. Besides the White.
I'd have to think about that a little bit, just off the top of my head. But essentially any storyline he does, period, is more entertaining than half the shit.
Again, look.
Unless you want it.
I heard this weird rumor. I heard this crazy rumor.
Have him go in the ring with Deontay Wilder.
What?
RKO versus that right hand. Let's go.
I heard this crazy rumor that Tony Khan was not willing to offer Randy Orton Chris Jericho money.
That's stupid.
That's what I heard.
Because
Randy Orton was willing to go, but Chris Jericho was getting offered. I don't know how much he's getting offered, but Tony Khan was like, I wasn't willing to do that. Now I disagree with that. I think that report is BS.
Here's the one thing that Jericho did say that he's making the most money he ever has, which could mean it's a giant number.
How much do you want to say?
I think it might be $10 million. To be honest,
you think he's out of Brock Lesnar contract?
Yeah, because he's the number one guy. Dude, when you hear the crowd when he comes out every single time.
Oh yeah,
that dude is the most over guy in wrestling.
Whether you love him or hate him, you're still gonna.
But so I think they were probably like, no, Randy, we're not giving you 12 or 15. We're going to give you 10, or we'll give you 9.5 or 9 or whatever like that. And then maybe Jericho's making more than 10, and they just.
You might have stock in the company or stock in the revenue and the pay-per-view.
No, so that's what I'm saying.
So
it's like. And we don't know what the executive vice presidents are making either, because obviously they're probably making more money than Jericho because they own their part of the company. Yeah, so it's like maybe Randy didn't deserve the same money that Jericho got because Jericho was the catalyst of the company. Randy was a signee. That's all I'm thinking. But the big thing is they did disrespect Randy Orton a little bit. They did disrespect CM Punk, so they need to change that.
What night should this second show be on? Monday Night Raw?
I don't know. Can you come up with a date? Because I don't know. We were talking about this before the podcast. I don't think you can do it on a weekend, and I don't think you could do back-to-back shows, so they're screwed.
Because they're in the middle. That's the
problem.
So
what do you think is the best idea?
Best case scenario, Thursday night.
So you literally do Dynamite, and then afterwards you do Dark. You know how hard that is for production?
I know, but
editing?
I know, but like
That's
the good thing is that they did have their show Dynamite in the middle of the week, which is smart. And I barely found out about the second show. It's almost like, okay, then where the hell am I going to put the show?
Hold on though. So I think you're mistaken by something. If they had a second show, I do believe it would all be filmed in the same spot.
Yes.
So the production thing makes no sense. They're filming all in one day. You're just broadcasting it out the next day.
Yeah, because you have to edit.
So
they do the control center. They do all that stuff. So you have to make sure.
I don't think the control center would be a part of it anymore. I think they would be a wrestling show. The control center is.
So what are you gonna put on that? What are you gonna put on there?
I don't think they even should have a show. So,
I
don't know why you're asking that.
What are you gonna put on there? Well, we're gonna have a second show. Regardless of what we think, this is like WCW and Thunder. They're going to have a second show. This is history repeating itself. Ted Turner decided, hey, I like
mistake.
I like AEW Dynamite so much, I'm gonna do it.
You don't think it's a mistake? I think it's a mistake.
Because you can bring in more talent with that money.
I think it's almost like just hold it off. the best play is just hold it off for right now.
Yeah.
Don't announce something that's certain.
I agree with that. Do it after Double or Nothing at least.
Yeah.
Maybe even after All Out.
Well, this will definitely probably
maybe they can debut the next show like October 1st, like they did the first.
Yeah, I would agree that would be a good time to do. Maybe they have an anniversary week of Dynamite.
And you start a new show, and the new show has obviously awesome guys on it, and then of course it gets watered down, which I think is shit.
Or just have like one-off show, just have that premiere of just that one show, and then if it did well, okay, then we'll think about what day we're going to be doing it. But if it's bad, cancel that shit.
Oh, by the way, Thursdays don't work because, the NBA on TNT is on Thursday nights.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
So
Mondays
you're going up against Monday Night Raw.
You could do it like 8 to 10 though.
Yeah. After.
And do it after Raw.
Yeah.
You mean so 8
like,
to 10? We're leaving the West Coast, so you're talking.
Well, yeah, but then you just start 8 to 10 everywhere, like SmackDown does. SmackDown starts at 8 o'clock.
You're still competing with.
Because you can't do AEW.
But you're not, because if people get sick of Raw, they're like, okay, I'm turning this shit off. I'm waiting.
So
I mean, you can't do it.
You can do it Tuesday and
Dark
just
or an extension.
Just do one NBA game.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't. We
haven't thought about the fact that the
such
playoffs.
a bad idea.
The playoffs are
such a bad idea.
In 3 months, the playoffs.
But no,
will
but
be
think
here.
about this. So you might not know this. So TNT does basketball on Tuesdays and Thursdays, which means there's literally no days to put the show on besides up against SmackDown, up against Raw, or up against Weekend Sports.
You can put it up on a Saturday.
They're screwed. We do need to change topics though, because when I went up there a second ago, it was like at 30 minutes. So we need to change our topics to Tessa Blanchard. I did not think we would be able to have a podcast where we talked about Tessa Blanchard as a major subject just because of stuff that's been going on with one person. Tessa Blanchard has shocked the wrestling world in multiple ways this past week, for the good and the bad. And the bad, unfortunately...
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yeah, unfortunately was more interesting and kind of ruined...
Why y'all gotta go out here and say racial slurs, man? Allegedly.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, well, allegedly, but someone said. I mean, why would someone say that?
Like, why y'all gotta go out here and say racial slurs?
Yeah, so there's a bunch of stuff you probably know in the wrestling world, so I'm not going to go over it. Tessa Blanchard was accused of a lot of things, including bullying and racism and spitting on somebody and all this other stuff. And this was days before she was supposed to win the Impact World Men's
It was the day before.
It was the day before.
I found that about it the day before as well.
Yes, so it dampened. I did a Twitter poll via our Twitter account, and most people said it was ruined. The moment was ruined. And for me, I was busy, but I actually didn't end up watching the match because I was so disappointed and didn't feel like cheering on Tessa Blanchard after the rumors that came on. And I just was going to wait to find out and post stuff on our social media, obviously. But, I think we're all disappointed in Tessa Blanchard if these rumors are true. In the sports world,
I'm mixed.
Yeah, and there was in the sports world, there's a big scandal going on where there was a lot of rumors of stuff going on with cheating, and then it is not. Yeah, sorry. Don't even get me started. Just don't even get me started. By the way, if you guys don't know, I've been using the term Astros, adding 2 S's, and I will forever use that term. So. Yes. Go watch my other podcast if you want to learn about that. But cheap plug.
Let's talk about Tessa. Right
yeah, but so moving on, Tessa. Well, I was making the reference to baseball. The baseball thing is that we heard about something, and then it was confirmed. And a lot of people had heard in the past that Tessa might have had a little sketchy stuff backstage. Little here rumors, not as big as the baseball thing, but now it comes out to the forefront. People call her out in the business. The NWA Women's Champion, Chelsea Green, who's connected to Zack Ryder, obviously through marriage, and multiple other wrestlers that are names in the business. Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. So this wasn't just a bunch of jealous girls. This was kind of influential people that had big times.
A lot of companies.
Chelsea Green was in All In.
Let's not talk. Let's mention a lot of companies.
Yeah.
Impact, AEW, NXT, NWA. There was multiple women who came out. 100%. It was like 10 to 12 women. Yeah. It was scary.
What are our thoughts on what Tessa's, I don't want to say legacy, but what do we think about her now? Do we consider her the top female performer anymore? Because if she has skeletons in the closet, I don't think we can, I think you have to look at Charlotte Flair or Sasha Banks still, or I'm not going to say anybody from AEW, I almost just made that mistake of saying Britt Baker or something like that, but
she's turning heel.
It's just, at least that's what I think. I just think I now don't care where Tessa signs because I don't think people are going to promote her as much because, especially if there's racism allegations, holy shit, that's not going to fly at all.
First of all, I want to say this.
Stay on Impact.
Yeah.
These Impact's doing whatever the hell they want. You guys see that RVD celebration? Have you seen that?
No, I did not see
that. Oh my, they got kicked off Twitch.
It was too hot for Twitch.
He said she had sex with 2 women in the bed.
Yeah. It was just too hot for Twitch. I'm just going to say
too hot for anything.
Yeah.
Well, something was twitching that night. RVD.
There was blurs and everything.
He was high that day. All right. Oh, when is he not?
When is he?
When is he not? What am I saying?
Hey, man. We bet RVD.
When is he so? RVD's cool. Oh, no, RVD's...
Hey, man. Sorry. We bet RVD. We might not
Katie Forbes is really cool. RVD.
Yeah, we bet Katie Forbes. Yeah. All right, so getting back to this Tessa Blanchard thing, I can take bullying because a lot of our favorites, Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Ric Flair, countless others. JBL. They've had, nobody likes JBL.
Hulk Hogan.
All right, Hulk Hogan. We've had a lot of situations happen where, people have bullied somebody in the wrestling industry, and we found out about all these terrible things, and we've forgiven them. I'm still going around my job. A lot of black people are still going around my job, around the country, and Ric Flair allegedly has an issue where apparently he told Teddy Long, N-word, don't touch me. He said that. He said, N-word, don't touch me.
And this was what, during
that's more racial bullying.
You know what I'm saying?
That's obviously
when it's racial, though, what I'm saying, when it's racial, that's a situation where it raises my eyebrows. I've heard things about Tessa Blanchard before, and I've ignored it. I considered her being young and stupid, honestly, because we all make those mistakes when we're young.
No, we don't. I've never said anything racist.
Hold on. I'm not talking about racist stuff. I'm talking about bullying. I'm talking about bullying stuff. I'm talking about bullying stuff, okay?
Absolutely.
But when I heard that she may have said the N-word, a racial slur, then my perspective changed. And then it's not just one person who says it. It's different if one person says it. If it's multiple women from across different companies, and these companies are warring against each other, and they're all coming to defense of this one person.
And they ain't warring against Impact. So they're not trying to win the ratings war over Impact by tearing down.
It's now uniting. Now it's teamwork.
And then what was Tessa Blanchard thinking? If you know you got heat with women, what are you thinking sending out that tweet?
She's stupid, bro. I mean, it's like, I don't mean to say something like that, but...
And it makes me understand, and it makes me realize why WWE didn't sign her. You don't think Triple H was salivating getting Tessa Blanchard down?
I think those girls got in his ears, like, hey man, like, she's like a bully, she's not going to work out.
I heard allegedly she got into an argument with Stephanie McMahon at the Mae Young Classic one year. And was sending text messages to Dave Meltzer with spoilers or something. Stephanie confronted her. They got into an argument. You don't want to get into an argument with Stephanie McMahon.
Is there a fight?
That's the wrong person.
Did they fight?
Of course. Stephanie McMahon ain't fighting nobody, bro. She's going to send somebody else to fight.
Damn, I know.
You know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
Could have been an All-Star game.
That would have been fantastic.
Yeah.
But, like, so with this whole Tessa Blanchard thing, when I saw it at first, and I said, okay, this Chelsea Green, she may have a thing against her or whatnot, but then I saw multiple women coming against her. Yeah. And then the apology from the statement by Tessa Blanchard didn't seem the best.
No, it wasn't sincere.
It wasn't sincere. It was almost like, I'm sorry I got caught. You know, I love Tessa, but, sweetheart, you're going to have to stay in Impact for a few more years. I'm sorry. You're not going to...
Are there a few years left of Impact, to be honest?
Probably not.
Dude, their company is based off a bullying, possibly racist woman winning their World Heavyweight Men's title and Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam. Like, come on.
Future's
no
not right
offense
for Impact.
To RVD.
Hey man, Tony
he
Khan
should not be leading a show in 2000.
Tony Khan, you want to get talent for that second show? Buy Impact. Buy Impact.
That's a good point.
Yeah, you know, it's a situation though with these whole allegations. It ruins it for me because I was so big. You guys know this. I'm the biggest Tessa Blanchard fan out there. And you know, I was campaigning for this. I said it. Tessa Blanchard needs to win that world title eventually.
Yeah. And she did win it at the right time.
And she did win it at the right time. But when you're under such a microscope, you gotta know when to shut the hell up.
Yeah, it's a good point.
And she didn't shut the hell up in this situation. Instead of saying, "Hey guys, thank you so much for everything,"
Ryan Reynolds.
You know, no, this ain't Ryan Reynolds. Yeah. Instead of saying, "Hey guys, thank you so much for everything. I look forward to you guys watching tomorrow to see if I can pull this thing," something like that, some corporate. She just goes out and says a passive-aggressive tweet that all women get mad at. All these women who had stuff against you. And when people have stones to throw, they will take an opportunity to throw those stones. And Tessa Blanchard gave an opportunity for them to throw those stones. But the question is this. Okay, with Impact Wrestling, you are going to offer her so much money. Where do you think Impact Wrestling feels now? They're going to offer they don't have to offer her that much money anymore, right? Don't you think? Because Tessa Blanchard...
I mean, she has a world title like that.
Yeah. Okay, but that title's going to come off of her.
Literally like the top.
Okay, that title's going to come off of her, what, a few months, 3 months?
When is her contract up?
It's up in the summer. So it's a good 4 or 5 months she can have a reign, right?
Yeah, or they keep it on her because they want to sign it back.
Okay.
And they have leverage now.
They have leverage. That's where I was getting to the point. Nobody wants to sign her if they got heat with her. If all these women are coming out, she might have heat amongst her own locker room. Didn't you tell me that nobody was congratulating her?
Yeah, apparently the only person to congratulate Tessa after this, what should have been one of the biggest wins in wrestling history, pro wrestling history, one woman came out to say hi to her, and Gail Kim got a shitstorm the next day for that. So, I think that kind of gave it away right there, that if the entire Impact Women's Wrestling locker room, which, by the way, is the best women's wrestling.
I agree with that.
It's better when you look at AEW, Impact Wrestling is actually the exact opposite when it comes to women's wrestling. The women's wrestling there, I'll watch all day. For those women specifically, not to show her that respect, winning a men's title, changing the game for women's wrestling, that is brutal. Like, that's just brutal, in my opinion. And there's some of me that feels bad for Tessa Blanchard.
No woman came to the defense of Tessa Blanchard besides her.
Yeah. But Gail Kim really didn't either, and kind of just came out to show her respect because she's a veteran in the locker room.
Oh, no.
I mean, how bad is this? I mean,
it's a lot of signs right there. I mean, I want to say I have mixed feelings about this whole thing, you know. Coincidence that this all happened on the day when she won the title, all these women just ganged up and just sell all these things. It could have happened the same thing for Ronda Rousey and Becky Lynch and Charlotte, you know, when they main event at WrestleMania. that's another piece of history that
they kept their mouth shut.
But what?
But there was nothing. Looks like there's nothing.
There was nothing. But what he's saying is, if something like this came out,
like this
it would have been. It would have happened. And then that match obviously ended up being super momentous. Unfortunately, the injury kind of ruined the end. But that was crazy.
Yeah,
we were there too.
We were there. So to witness history itself, with Tessa Blanchard, it should be like a moment to be celebrated. But yeah, it did ruin the moment. It did ruin the fact that this happened. All this bullying and the racism that happened with Tessa Blanchard to all these women. And for Gail Kim, I know she's gonna get a lot of shitstorm, a lot of like trash talk, but you got to give it to Gail Kim for actually being noble and going out there and actually showing respect. And actually, she doesn't have to agree for what Tessa had to do, for what she did in the past. Gail Kim, she went out there to be, in a way, like kind of like the better person or the better woman out there, for her to be showcasing, look, I don't agree with what you're doing, but I can't deny your talents.
Yeah, the one thing I disagree with you on that one is I just think, would you, for example, if you were in a pro wrestling community or in a pro wrestling company and you had a JBL type, not JBL himself, but a JBL type that was going to have his big moment at WrestleMania, but you thought was a complete asshole, was a bully, possibly a racist, would you really go out and show the respect, or would you kind of stay with the locker room and chill back there and be like, you know what, I'll shake your hand, or I'll shake his or her hand after this, but I'm not going out there and making a scene of this?
I'm not going to make a scene out of this because I've never been that person. Yeah. I'd rather just shake his hand, but I wouldn't really want to talk to him afterwards. I'm not the kind of guy.
So
I'm not going to go out like to, have lunch or coffee or hang out with them or do a podcast with them. Yeah. I'm probably.
And that's what people have the problem with Gail Kim, is because Gail Kim kind of crossed the picket line, in a way. When people are, you guys know what that means. I don't need to explain it, but it's so, it's just interesting. Last question on this topic.
I got a question too.
Okay. Well, what's your question, really quickly?
So
don't ask it to yourself. Ask it to us.
No. But my biggest thing is this: where's that same energy for Charlotte Flair, who's had a racial issue?
Not racist.
Okay. Well, Ric Flair.
How is Charlotte racist?
Yeah, but
apparently she got arrested. Allegedly, she got arrested and was calling a racial slur to the officer.
Well, she's marrying Nenad in St. Alamos.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Tessa Blanchard's marrying a Hispanic guy in Daga too. And her boyfriend came out and said, "Hey, I'm Hispanic. Well, I don't see any racism there between us."
I guess you guys.
So,
I was gonna say the same thing.
So, you know what I'm saying?
Good call on that one.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have Ric Flair, who
Ric Flair is not a women's wrestler, bro. Just because your dad is racist does not mean that you are. Like that, you can't.
Hold on. I'm saying Ric Flair's name racist.
No, I know, but
I'm saying Charlotte. Okay, you're going with women though. Go with the women. Don't go with.
I don't have any women.
Because Hulk Hogan's racist, clearly.
Okay.
There's many.
Leave the dads out of it.
Okay,
There's so many racist guys.
We haven't been in a situation where a woman has been this high profile to the point where something like this happens, it could possibly damage her whole career. This has happened multiple times with dudes, with guys. Ric Flair, Hulk Hogan.
But it came out after their careers, though.
Yeah, pretty much. But here's a situation where people are getting upset about this.
Hulk Hogan, reputation tarnished. He is.
Yeah, but did we all mark out when we were at WrestleMania and we both
Okay,
you marked out?
Hey, I gotta get a comparison. Hey, Michael Jackson's still alive. You ain't going to his concert?
Come on.
You ain't going to Michael Jackson? You ain't marking out at the bar when Thriller comes on?
Sammy Sosa?
Bro, he might like bring like 18 kids. You're like, let's go to Thriller. You know what I'm saying? Like, hit the spot. Stop it. Yeah.
What about Sammy Sosa?
I don't know if Sammy Sosa is racist. Sammy Sosa just changed colors.
Yeah. Look, man.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, you got with current top stars, this really has not happened besides Tessa in this current call-out culture. It could have happened maybe with one of the stars back in the day, or maybe Randy Orton possibly, because he's had some sketchy things happen in his past.
He said the N-word on Twitter.
Well, but he was saying it, and he was not saying it in racist terms. Yeah.
I remember in our private group chat, I said, you know what, I don't want to problem with that.
He just slipped, he was drunk, it was...
You know what I'm saying? He's cool. But if you're saying the N-word in a way where you're trying to demean me, the ER...
Yeah, come on.
You know, you get sent to the ER.
Literally, no. Like, there's
you say
no
the
place.
ER, you get sent to the ER.
Hulk Hogan said that many times.
Yeah, and guess what happened to his career?
Yeah. And then he said the ER, I guess. Well, he goes to the ER now.
Well, he's getting sent to the ER with those hip surgeries.
He got sent to Pornhub and then $70 million lawsuit.
All right, let's get to your point. What were you talking about?
I was just gonna say, do we care about Tessa Blanchard anymore? Like, do we actually care that if she joins any of these big companies, or is it kind of like, she's probably a shitty person, so who cares now?
She's still the top female superstar
so you care
out there.
Do you
I
still care?
If I didn't care, I wouldn't be talking about this.
You know, as much as a great wrestler she is in the ring, I can't deny it. She's a great wrestler, but to be honest, I really don't care about her.
What I thought about Tessa Blanchard 2 weeks ago is nowhere what I think now. I just don't.
And we've seen Tessa Blanchard up close and personal.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Super cool person.
but no, we don't know that. We saw her in a match. What are you talking about? Up close.
Well, we don't know her like personally.
We've heard people that we know say they had good interactions, but we're also kind of abrasive sometimes when we're at these kind of things because we're
fans.
Yeah, well, we're fans, but we're also asking for interviews and shit. So.
All right, guys. So we're gonna be talking about, why I could possibly consider this to be one hell of a main event and a dream match that has been coming since 2015, and it is here. UFC 246 Saturday night. Donald, Cowboy, Cerrone versus the return of Conor, the notorious McGregor.
I like to apologize to absolutely nobody.
Of course.
Yes. Oh my God! I got this fight. I'm throwing a party at my house for this fight.
First of all, that ESPN promo, was that not the best promo?
It's the best one I've ever seen.
One hell of a promo.
It's the best one I've ever seen for a promo for any MMA contests ever. So,
guess who's back?
Conor McGregor, Cowboy Cerrone. The rest of this card kind of sucks, to be honest. So we're just gonna talk about this fight.
Nobody cares about the card besides this.
Yeah,
but they're fan favorites in this one.
Of course. Hardcore MMA fans will watch this.
And casual MMA fans like me will watch it too.
Yeah. So, I mean, I got a bunch of people that don't even give a shit about UFC coming over to watch Conor McGregor fight.
He's the top draw in UFC.
My brother currently is on a football recruiting trip and will be partying the night it happens and is going to make a point to watch that specific fight.
You know, even if you're not a UFC fan and you know who Conor McGregor is,
do you want to go to my house?
Yes, he's going to be drawing a lot of money.
Millions of people around the world come over to Nick's house, y'all.
Yeah, of course. And I just want to ask you guys, and this is kind of like an interesting question. This Conor McGregor is in a way, very relaxed.
Ooh, yeah.
In a way, kind of humble. Do you think that this is going to be somewhat of a, I don't know,
a letdown for him?
Not a letdown, but a disadvantage for him for the fight.
Conor McGregor has one thing and one thing only in his mind. It's not Donald Cerrone. I think we'll get to my predictions later on. I don't think this matchup is going to be as great as you guys are hyping it up to be. For obvious
dream
reasons.
match, man.
I think Conor McGregor is focused on Khabib. I think that matchup is happening later on in 2020, regardless of what happens in these two fights. It has to happen. It's the biggest matchup UFC has missed out on again. It's a rematch that they should have done last year, but all the situation hasn't happened with Conor McGregor and him retiring, Khabib getting suspended, all this stuff happening. It's a matchup that has to happen. And I heard that it was on the dock before they gave Khabib and Ferguson the deal. I heard it was on the dock again for Conor McGregor and Khabib too. This matchup has got to happen. I think at the end of the day, we are seeing Conor McGregor, because he got his ass knocked out 2 straight years in a row. Got destroyed by Khabib, got destroyed by Floyd Mayweather. He left. He had multiple sexual assault charges happen. He got off of those. It's a situation now where Conor McGregor knows that his public image has been tarnished. So he can't come out and cocky, boasting. He hasn't won a match in years.
He didn't say anything racist, Tessa.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he hasn't.
He did.
Yeah. Learn.
Yeah, learn.
Look, the fact of the matter remains is that I think Conor McGregor, after he wins this matchup against Donald Cerrone, I'm just going to say it. When he wins this matchup against Donald Cerrone, he's going to be his usual old, cocky, crazy Conor McGregor self.
And he should.
And he should be. But the but you can't talk shit when you haven't won in like 2 or 3 years.
So I actually like your answer to this question because you're right. You actually make a good point. He shouldn't have came back and just talked all this shit. I actually respect that he realized, okay, I need to not be the crazy ass Conor McGregor. I mean, he had to stop drinking, he said, and he has a whiskey company. Like, he stopped drinking because he realized that the last couple press conferences he did got a little out of hand because he was hammered. The last couple fights, he was drinking during his training, not like getting out of the ring and drinking a bottle, but like, you know, his training wasn't going as well, especially when you have to fight Khabib, who's arguably the best fighter in the world right now. You have to be in your tip-top shape. So he kind of screwed all that up by being crazy, allegations, punching an old man, drinking, all this stuff.
Bus.
Yeah. So, well, that was in preparation for a fight, though, so nobody really cared about that. It's not, I mean, I was excited he did that. That was cool. That's cool. I mean, it never happens in real life. Like, so I like your point. Here's my thing. I think it's because of the respect he has for Donald Cerrone, and I think it's like every fan, apparently not you, has respect for Donald Cowboy Cerrone, and that's why I'm wearing the hat today. It's not my hat. Shout out to Eric for bringing it over.
My old hat.
Yeah, but so I think it's because he just simply has respect. Like, he understands that Cowboy Cerrone could knock him the hell out with a head kick, and he understands that if he screws around too much or tries to put on a show, he can lose because nobody can take a kick to the head.
That is a dangerous Conor McGregor.
Yeah.
A focused Conor McGregor like this,
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to end in the first round. I think it's ending in the first round.
You haven't said that much analysis on this yet, so before you, I was going to have you wait, but you said. So what are your thoughts on this fight? Number one, McGregor. Because you asked the question, what are your thoughts on McGregor's attitude? And then you can give.
I feel like in a way he's kind of saving something special for all of us. That's why he feels so relaxed. He feels so not in so much pressure in so many of these fights. He says that he does very well, extremely well, in high pressure fights. I think he considers this as not only just a dream match to be a pressure fight, but he also considers this match to be, for him personally, one of his biggest matches for his kid too. Because his kid is getting a little bit older, and he knows that Donald Cerrone, he wants to have his kid to also watch Donald Cerrone fight Conor. So it's almost like back to back. Both of them are doing each other like a favor. But at the end of the day, there's got to be a winner. Conor McGregor, in a way, it does surprise me that Conor McGregor is being so relaxed. There hasn't been any shit talking. It was more about promotion, about him returning. It's all the return. And I think maybe ESPN or maybe the media, they're trying to find ways to try to get Conor to be that Conor McGregor that we all know, the guy who we all know trash talks, who punches people in bars, who stirs shit up. With that being said, Conor McGregor, in a way, maybe he's mature and he knows what to do and what not to do. And with that being said, Conor McGregor versus Donald Cowboy Cerrone. Man, I love Cowboy Cerrone. This guy is one of my favorite fighters. Of course, repping him right now. I see this fight. Man.
Look at this.
Man, you think Dana...
Wait. Give me Hold on. This has been... I can't wait for this. Here we go.
The only thing that Conor's got going is actually his left hook. He just needs an opening for Donald Cerrone. But Donald Cerrone, he's got those Muay Thai kicks. He gives 3 of them in the head. Second round, it's over.
You're going Cerrone?
Cerrone.
Holy shit!
Cerrone.
You think
Oh my gosh! You said Cerrone. You said Cerrone. Oh my.
First of all, a couple of things. Number one, I also think that Conor McGregor's UFC career could be coming to an end very soon. He has this matchup with Cerrone. He has this matchup with Khabib. Maybe wins a championship, and then it's done, and he's off to WWE.
This might be a tune-up fight. This might be a tune-up fight for Conor McGregor. But
this is about Khabib. Yeah. This whole fight. You think Dana White's booking this fight knowing Conor McGregor is losing his first fight back?
Not really.
How old is Cerrone again?
He's 36.
He's had
30
fight. Yeah. 51 fights.
He's a veteran, man.
Bro.
Yeah. He's been around.
Conor McGregor has to have something up his sleeve. You can't come back with the same stuff. Yeah. You can't come back with the same stuff after you've been going for 2 years. You can't come back with it. You gotta add something in your arsenal that's a little different to get your opponent like, oh, Didn't know that was coming at the very end.
That may be true, but Donald Cerrone, he's a tough dude. He's got a tough chin. He's been.
Hey man, just because you wear a cowboy hat, you got a tough chin. Don't be your ass gonna get knocked out by a left punch from Conor McGregor.
Obviously, I respect your opinion of what this fight is, but us knowing the UFC connection we have, I cannot believe that you are picking Cowboys.
This ain't no style, man. I lived it too.
I know, but like,
ranch style.
Like in the second round,
McGregor's coming back after 4 years and losing this fight in the second round. You don't think it's at least going the distance? I can see Cerrone winning in distance, but not in the second.
I'm giving him a chance.
I'll say Conor in the first.
I haven't said that.
Because the problem is that Conor, whether he wants to correct his mistake, he gasses out in most of these fights.
That's why you got to get it done early.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why Conor's going to go for the blow early.
Which could mean a knockout, so okay. You know what, I'll take it back a little bit, but I'll say this. Absolutely disagree. Conor McGregor's winning this fight. Conor McGregor is winning this damn fight. He's going to win it, they're going to go the distance.
It's a race to fight.
It's going to be one of the best fights the last couple of years, maybe one of the best fights we will ever see. And that's, you know what, I think I said the same thing for the Usman-Covington fight. It was a really good fight for a whole different reason, because they stood up and boxed, and there wasn't one takedown attempt for guys that were takedown specialists. So a little interesting. But this is going to be one of those where both guys are similar. Cerrone has the jiu-jitsu, background, Muay Thai, all that stuff. McGregor more of a striker, but he does obviously. There's a reason you win a title. You don't win a title just knocking guys out. You know what I'm saying? So it's like McGregor, but I think McGregor's going to come out hard, but I think both these guys can take a punch. I just think McGregor's going to end up winning points. He's going to win every single round. Maybe he'll lose one here and there, whatever. But, man, I got to go with Conor. I think the calmness is what makes me think he is going to destroy.
No, there's no doubt about it. He's going to provide something special.
He is on a race to fight Khabib. Khabib needs to be his redemption.
You know what he said, though? He probably thinks he's going to fight Masvidal.
Yeah, that's another possibility.
Oh, holy shit! That'd be a great fight. I'm gonna get way too sad. We don't have time in this podcast left. But like
Dana White would absolutely need to be ousted as UFC commissioner, whatever he is. He would need to be ousted out if he didn't do Khabib versus McGregor too.
Okay, when is Khabib fighting?
Khabib is fighting in April.
Okay, he's fighting in April. McGregor wants to fight in March. He can still fight Masvidal before that fight even happens.
No, you don't risk that
Just don't jinx Ferguson.
You don't risk that fight. You don't risk it. You don't risk Khabib versus McGregor too with Masvidal.
First of all,
you don't risk it.
First of all, quick take. Ferguson's beating Khabib anyway, so this is not.
Ferguson is not beating.
Yes, he is.
I see Ferguson.
Tony Ferguson's beating Khabib. Yeah. So your point is
the man wrestles bears.
But I'm gonna see. All right, I might change.
Tony Ferguson is a crazy person. That fights everyone.
Crazy motherfucker.
Yeah,
that's for sure.
He is crazy.
We're talking about the man who wrestles bears.
I don't care.
I'm talking about a man who wrestles bears as a child. Keep going.
Did you see the beach workout Ferguson was doing?
I did, yeah. That's
like it's
insane.
He's doing rolls
and
on the sand with a
exercise. A man who wants to go one-on-one with the damn bear is somebody I'm picking.
Bro, bear's on a chain.
The bear's on a chain. I don't care. The man was wrestling a damn bear.
You trained that bear to be gentle with you.
Okay.
And you wrestle.
You got McGregor in the first. I can see that happening. Although this is Vegas, so it's going to be hard to knock out Cerrone. That's why I think it's fun. This ain't going to be New York where they just end the fight because someone's eyes busted up, which has happened in the past. It happened with
each state changes. They all have different rules.
Yeah, so McGregor ain't winning in the first. I disagree with that. But I do think McGregor's winning. I think he's going the distance. Like I said, I think with the way the rules, the Vegas commission is, they're not going to stop this fight. They know what it is, and it's the reason they're having this fight in Vegas. Eric, you have the shocking one, at least to us.
I'm going with the risk.
Yeah,
I'm risking this one. Second round, Cerrone.
Oh, I mean, if that happens, this whole play.
Worst case scenario.
I'm not putting money on this fight because the odds are not in McGregor's favor by too much, and I'm not going Cerrone.
Hey man, if Donald Cerrone wins, Nick needs to wear the hat everywhere he goes for like a day.
It's not happening.
Or a week.
I have plans later that night, so I cannot wear the hat for those plans.
Girls like cowboys, I heard. Take that horse to the
Southern California.
Take that horse to that old town road. Ride till I can't no more.
Okay, but we're excited about that fight. Obviously, we do need to finish up because timer's running out on here, the hour mark here on this podcast. Yeah, so if you missed it earlier or you're watching a different video right now, because I don't know how I'm going to edit this, we talked about Tessa Blanchard earlier, what we thought about what happened with her last week, right. And we talked about AEW's new deal in what I thought was a great debate. What we didn't get to talk about, which I think we could maybe talk about this in the next podcast, is the David Benoit interview, which I don't know if you guys have seen that yet. Have you seen it yet?
I just saw a picture.
Good. But so I do want to talk to you guys about that because that is the first time anybody's talking that detail about Chris Benoit, and it was his son. And obviously, if you don't know, Chris Benoit did not. This was not the son, obviously, that he murdered the day he killed his entire family.
It has to be
the son from a different, But so we'll talk about that. We're going to talk about the Royal Rumble coming up. But for this podcast, McGregor, Tessa, and AEW was enough. Okay.
Raise a glass in the sky, salute the ring generals.